MALDEF's 2025 Chicago Awards Gala is brought to you by Adobe, Friends of MALDEF, Legal Friends of MALDEF, the Diversity Scholarship Foundation, the Hispanic Lawyers Association of Illinois, the United States Hispanic Leadership Institute, Dr. Luis Ricardo Fraga, the Illinois Association of Hispanic State Employees, United Airlines, the Latino Policy Forum, the Illinois Department of Human Rights. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming MALDEF's host for the evening, attorney and NBC Latino contributor, Raul A. Reyes.
Hello, everyone. Good evening. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the MALDEF 2025 Chicago Awards Gala. I am so honored to be your host this evening. This evening is also super important to me because when I was growing up, I really had no concept that Latinos could even be lawyers, that we had Latina lawyers. And I remember when I was a kid watching the news sometimes, my parents would show on TV that there were these young Chicanas involved in these legal fights in Texas and California on the news, and that was MALDEF. So this evening is such a pleasure for me to be part of it. Has just so much resonance. MALDEF has a tremendous program tonight of amazing honorees, each of whom stands united around a shared mission of promoting a greater America for all of us, especially for our large and growing Latino community. MALDEF opened its doors in 1968 in San Antonio, Texas, and created a legal organization to promote the civil rights of Latinos living in the United States. Today, MALDEF is known as the Latino legal voice for civil rights in America. For 57 years, MALDEF has worked in the courts, in the halls of Congress, and in state and local legislatures to create new laws and policies with wide-ranging impacts for the Latino community and for our nation as a whole. MALDEF works to secure the right to a meaningful vote, to equal educational opportunity, to a non-discriminatory workplace, and fairness and justice in every endeavor across the country. This includes MALDEF's 1982 Supreme Court victory, Plyler versus Doe, a landmark case. Gala versus Doe guarantees the right to a free kindergarten through 12th grade public education for all children, regardless of immigration status. So tonight, MALDEF honors 3 individuals who have made immeasurable contributions to society and who are united by a commitment to the principles of equality and fairness for all. Now, I have the pleasure of introducing MALDEF's first esteemed honoree for this evening, Associate Executive Director of the American Bar Association, Pedro Juan Wilson Jr., the recipient of MALDEF's Excellence in Legal Service Award. Pedro grew up in New York City's Spanish Harlem and in Chicago's Humboldt Park. His parents embodied the values of exemplary service and the pursuit of justice. Pedro's decades-long career can be defined by his commitment to equity, justice, and innovation. After receiving a BA in government and criminal justice at John Jay College in New York City, Pedro went on to study law at the University of Iowa College of Law. Here he served as a member and contributed as an author to the Journal of Gender, Race, and Justice. He then joined Wildman, Harold, Allen, and Dixon, LLP, where he served as a litigation associate providing counsel to Fortune 500 companies. In 2009, Pedro became a member of Illinois State Democratic Legal Review Team, where he served as a legislative advisor. At the same time, he also provided pro bono legal counsel to nonprofits and community organizations. Later on, he became the senior presidential advisor to ABA President Stephen Zak, the first Hispanic ABA president. Together, they created several commissions devoting to improving the justice system. Eventually, Pedro moved up to the position of managing director in the American Bar Association's Center for Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. Here, he created the AEA Equity Summit, which was attended by 1,000 lawyers nationwide. Pedro was able to unite these lawyers under the common cause of addressing critical legal issues. Currently, Pedro serves as the Associate Executive Director for the American Bar Association. Throughout his tenure, he has managed multiple departments, including the Center for Professional Responsibility and the Center for Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. It is thanks to his leadership that these departments have been able to stick to their mission to expand access to the justice system, expand legal innovation, and to improve communication of the law to the public. Pedro is also a proud member of several organizations, including the National Bar Association, Native American Bar Association, the Puerto Rican Bar Association of Illinois, and the Hispanic National Bar Association. So now let's take a look at the video profile that MALDEF has created for Pedro Juan Wilson Jr.
My first impression of Pedro is this is somebody who's very serious, very formal, but at the same time, once you started to have a conversation with him, he was very engaging. And I really immediately liked him and just felt a certain amount of respect for him right from the very beginning. And I think what really drives Pedro is a desire to want to give back to the legal community and to the greater community. And it permeates everything he does, every discussion he has, every relationship that he builds with people. He's always looking for ways to connect people, ways to collaborate, and ways to give back to the community.
What I admire most about Pedro is his ability to connect with everyone. He elevates everyone's lived experiences while celebrating his own. I feel like Pedro knows how to tap into where people are, meet them, and then help them understand that we need to work together to affect change. We particularly did that with the Diversity Center to really promote and elevate diversity, equity, and inclusion. And it would not have been as successful as it is and was without Pedro.
I just like him. I could mention many reasons that I like him. He's a good family man. He's got a beautiful family. I like the fact that he smokes cigars with me and drinks rum with me. But those are not the qualities that I find most interesting. I do find that he is just somebody that everybody wants to put their arm around, and he puts his arm around everybody else. I thought he was intuitive, which I think is a very important quality. I think that he came from a political environment which gave him a sensitivity to some of the personalities involved and issues involved, and was able to accommodate them. Well, I can't tell you all of his career, but I can tell you since he's been with me, the major accomplishment is one that was very important to me. I wanted to establish a Hispanic commission while I was president of the ABA, and there was none. Frankly, there was virtually little, if any, outreach to the Hispanic community. So Pedro helped in my establishment of the commission, which has been very successful and has had a tremendous outreach to the Hispanic community that is continuing and will continue in the future.
When I think about what drives Pedro, I believe it's the sense of excellence. He wants to ensure that whatever he's producing, whatever he's working on, whatever interactions he has a layer of excellence throughout it. And when I think about his accomplishments, again, he provided exceptional service to President Zach as his special advisor, and then also to the then executive director, Jack Rives. Again, his political astuteness, that smartness, willing to go the extra mile, all came into play. When he became director of the Diversity Center, I was pleased with the way he expanded the outreach the ABA had with the diversity groups and our affiliated organizations. Pedro set the standard of how we interact with all of those affinity groups, and I think that continues to work today.
Pedro is somebody who works tirelessly. He's a tireless advocate for the law and for people. He is not one, however, to seek out the spotlight in his work. He is more somebody who's very comfortable working behind the scenes, but his impact is profound when you look at all of the people and all the various groups throughout this country that he has positively affected. I think Pedro's legacy will be the positive changes and contributions that he has made to the legal profession and to the greater community. He is first and foremost a lawyer. He is somebody who wants to see the people, the lawyers, judges, and legal practitioners to put them in a position to succeed. He does that primarily through the American Bar Association, obviously, which is where he works full time, but he also does that in the greater community as well. And when I say that, I mean in working with various national affinity bar associations, working with local and state bar associations, working with other organizations throughout the country who are looking at ways that they can represent people. He does that in a way to make sure that all the organizations and all the people within those organizations can create positive change within the community.
Ladies and gentlemen, please give a warm welcome to Pedro Juan Wilson Jr., Excellence in Legal Service Award.
Good evening, mi gente. I am deeply honored to accept this Excellence in Legal Service Award. My sincere thanks to the Mexican American Legal Defense and Educational Fund, its board, president, and general counsel, Tom Sines, and its dedicated attorneys and staff across the country whose lives are committed to justice, not just as an abstract concept, but as a daily practice. I'd like to take a point of personal privilege and recognize two remarkable individuals who are part of my American Bar Association family here today. They're in table 8, by the way. We have Amy Eggert, our incomparable chief of staff, and Alpha Brady, our incredible executive director. And by the way, if you didn't know this, Alpha made history as the first person of color to lead our association in its 147-year history. And finally, I am forever grateful to my beautiful wife, Shanice, who's with me today. She is my best friend, my biggest supporter, and frankly, the love of my life. This award means more to me than I can fully express, not as an individual achievement, but as a reflection of something larger, something collective. Standing here, I am reminded of a phrase that has shaped my life and work. Service is the price we pay for living. And I accept this honor in that spirit, with gratitude, humility, and a renewed commitment. My journey to the law wasn't predetermined. It was born from lived experience. Growing up in the church, I witnessed my parents embody that biblical principle of a servant's heart, serving others with love and selflessness. My mother's compassion, strength, and dedication, pouring all of herself into me, my 3 siblings, and generations of students she taught and mentored as a Chicago public school teacher. My father, a pastor, didn't just preach from the pulpit. He took to the streets, working to empower communities and more than once being arrested in the pursuit of justice. I saw firsthand how systems meant to serve were often indifferent or unjust, sometimes perpetuating inequities impacting Latino and other communities in many areas, including employment, education, health, civil, and criminal justice. These experiences fueled my commitment. Service is the price we pay for living. And that's why I became a lawyer, to better understand our laws and systems and be an advocate. And I have to tell you, it is a privilege to do this work. From pro bono representation of asylum seekers to challenging government overreach, each case, each story has reinforced my belief in the power of law as a tool for justice. My journey led me to the ABA, where I've had the honor of working for nearly 16 years with many incredible lawyers and advocates on important issues, whether it be mobilizing thousands of attorneys nationwide to help eliminate bias and enhance diversity in our legal and justice systems, providing pro bono counsel to thousands of immigrants and unaccompanied minors, or expanding access to justice for hurricane victims in Puerto Rico and other jurisdictions. It also includes the creation of the ABA Commission on Hispanic Legal Rights and Responsibilities. With the leadership of MALDEF and Tom and other national partners, we published a critical study to raise awareness and identify actionable steps to address the urgent issues impacting the Latino community. This work is rooted in service and places us on the front lines of protecting the rule of law and due process, which are now under unprecedented challenge. Now, I know that the rule of law isn't trending on TikTok, and due process is not going to get you a Netflix deal. But trust me, when these foundations crack, we all feel the aftershocks. And unlike Netflix, we don't get to skip the hard parts. You know, it's been said that for nearly 250 years, America's democracy has shined as a beacon of freedom. Well, today that beacon is dimming, threatened from within by attacks on the rule of law, our institutions, and our rights that are all too personal and urgent. We see officials boldly suggesting that they are above the law, questioning whether due process is necessary and whether the Constitution should always be followed. We hear judges called lunatics who should be impeached and their decisions ignored when courts don't rule in favor of certain interests. We see law firms and lawyers facing significant threats simply for the legal work they've done and the clients they have represented. Say nothing of the ongoing attacks on efforts to recognize and address systemic inequality and racism. So all of this begs the question, what do? We serve. We must continue to stand up, speak out, and act for justice, for our communities, and for the integrity of our democracy. ABA President Bill Bay said this year, "We will continue to stand for the rule of law and defend the judicial system, our profession, and the principles we hold dear. Because if not us, who? And if not now, when? Simply put, the fight to preserve our democracy is too important to stay silent." And it starts with each of us. No matter your role, whether as a lawyer, a mentor, a parent, or a volunteer, each contribution counts. As the great civil rights leader and Congressman John Lewis said, "Do not get lost in a sea of despair. Be hopeful. Be optimistic. Our struggle is not the struggle of a day, a week, a month, or a year. It is a struggle of a lifetime. Never ever be afraid to make some noise and get in good trouble, necessary trouble." So as I reflect on this honor tonight, I think of those who have come before me, who faced far fewer opportunities but carried unyielding courage. And I think of those who will come after, who will inherit the systems we either protect or let erode. Living a life of purpose means accepting that service is the price we pay for living, a price paid with love, resilience, integrity, and hope. So tonight I accept this award not as a conclusion, but as a charge, a call to action. Let's continue paying that price willingly, boldly, and together, with unwavering faith that justice, although sometimes delayed, is never out of reach. Thank you.
Thank you, Pedro, for your dedication, your service to diversity and inclusion within the American Bar Association. Now, I'd like to bring to the stage our interim Chicago Regional Counsel, Susana Sandoval Vargas.
Buenas tardes and good evening, everyone. For those who haven't met me, yo soy Susie Sandoval Vargas, and I am a proud Latina immigrant. I was once that little girl that feared being separated from her family, from the place she calls home, and from everything that she knows. Today, I am humbled to be here as MALDEF's Midwest Regional Counsel, prepared to stand up for our community's rights like my predecessors in this role did for me. Threats of mass deportation, separation of families, and the complete disregard of the United States Constitution have had a chilling effect on our communities. It has created a national environment of fear and uncertainty for our immigrant families. But it is important that we do not lose hope. With these constant attacks against our most vulnerable communities, it is crucial that we continue to protect and fight for the civil rights of the Latino community and all Americans. We must defend the US Constitution, and we must protect the rule of law. MALDEF is committed to this fight. In 2019, MALDEF, with our partners in Illinois, fought to pass the Immigrant Tenant Protection Act, which prevents unscrupulous landlords from wielding the threat of immigration enforcement as a weapon against their tenants. This year, MALDEF won an important victory for all tenants in Illinois who just want a safe place to call home. I'm proud to share that earlier this year, MALDEF helped our clients secure the first judgment under the Act, awarding our clients more than $80,000 in damages after their former landlord threatened to call immigration over a rent dispute. Everyone has rights under the rule of law, regardless of their immigration status. And this decision shows that those who choose to disregard these protections will face serious consequences. Also this year, MALDEF, with our partners, Illinois Coalition for Immigrant and Refugee Rights and the Latino Policy Forum, led the advocacy for the Safe Schools for All bill, which affirms every child's right to a free public education under Illinois law, regardless of immigration status. I'm proud to report that on May 31st, in the final hours of the legislative session, Illinois passed the Safe Schools for All bill, and it's on its way to the for signature. This bill codifies Plyler v. Doe, a landmark case and significant achievement in the history of MALDEF, where the United States Supreme Court ruled that the Texas law that excluded undocumented children from a public education by charging them tuition was unconstitutional. The Safe Schools for All bill protects students and their families from disclosures or threats to disclose their immigration status. It protects students and parents from practices that would exclude them from participation in school activities or programs because of their immigration status. This bill helps provide the sense of safety and security that all children should feel in school, but the work is not done. MALDEF, with our allies, will continue our advocacy in the development of the procedures for immigration and other law enforcement actions at schools that are required by the bill to protect the undisturbed learning environment for our children. In a time when several other states have considered passing bills that would deny undocumented children the right to a public education, I cannot overstate the significance of this win in Illinois. And MALDEF will continue to be vigilant and ready to respond to any efforts to deny immigrant children education in any other states. And finally, this year, MALDEF argued before the 8th Circuit Court of Appeals in Missouri to ensure that every voter who needs assistance to vote in the state of Arkansas can do so with the assister of their choice. MALDEF is proud of the work our incredible team has accomplished and will continue to do. I want to take a moment to recognize the members of MALDEF's Midwest office. If I can please ask you to stand when I name you. Martin Klein, Olivia Alden, Irene Padilla, and our newest member, Brian Velasco. We can please give them a round of applause. I also want to thank our incredible interns that add so much capacity to our team. If you could please stand. And last but definitely not least, I want to thank Tom Sines, not only for his leadership and constant support, but for trusting me and giving me the opportunity to lead our Midwest office. We are also grateful to all the partnerships we have fostered locally, regionally, and nationwide to make sure the rights of our communities remain protected. This work would not be possible without your ongoing support and collaboration. Thank you for your dedication to our mission. In these times, we must remain strong, and we are our strongest when we take on these challenges together. We look forward to continuing this fight to achieve a more just and equitable future with you by our side. Together, we will make sure that our communities feel safe, welcomed, and empowered. Together, we will shape the future of our communities in America. Muchas gracias.
You know, it's not easy to be Thomas Signs in 2025. They're doing a lot of great work, so I hope in this room of achievers, you know, this is a room that's like the best of our communities, that you will all continue to support MALDEF. So it is with great pleasure that I introduce MALDEF's next honoree this evening, the Honorable Jesse G. Reyes. Appellate Court Justice, Illinois 1st District Appellate Court, recipient of MALDEF's Lifetime Achievement Excellence in Legal Service Award. Judge Jesse Reyes grew up in an immigrant family which settled in the neighborhoods of Pilsen and Bridgeport. It was here that he developed his work ethic and came to know the importance of giving back to his community. As the eldest child, he fulfilled his duty to support his family by working in factories while also following his dreams by attending community college. Reyes became the first in his family to attend college and eventually received his bachelor's degree from the University of Illinois at Chicago and his Juris Doctorate from the John Marshall Law School. Reyes began his legal career as a senior supervising attorney with the Corporation Counsel's Office, representing the city of Chicago. He then joined Chicago's Board of Education, not only as a legal representative, but as someone who developed and implemented policies of school reform. In 1997, Justice Reyes was elected to the Circuit Court of Cook County and later joined the Appellate Court in 2012. The Honorable Jesse G. Reyes now serves the Illinois Appellate Court's 1st District, where he has made great improvements for the members of his community. As chair of the 1st District's Executive Committee, he improved court access for Spanish and Polish-speaking litigants. He helped to implement the Pretrial Fairness Act, which reformed the cash bail system. Judge Reyes is a founding member of the Diversity Scholarship Fund, reaffirming his commitment to diversity by providing financial aid to underrepresented law students. Throughout his entire career, Justice Reyes has been dedicated to creating a fairer justice system for all. He has lifted up law students, supported his fellow lawyers and judges, and has improved access to the courts for every civilian. So let's take a look at the video MALDEF produced to pay tribute to Judge Reyes's work.
When I think of Justice Reyes' accomplishments, a lot of folks will immediately point to his work as a judge and then as an appellate court justice. And yes, those are absolutely part of his great accomplishments. I think the other ones, though, that really stand out to me are, he's a very committed father. I know he loves his daughter. He talks about her all the time. We've talked about our children in the past. I find that to be incredibly inspiring, given how busy he is. And then I look at the other stuff that he does in his body of work, whether it's heading up and leading the Diversity Scholarship Fund, which has been an organization that's been so impactful in the legal community and really brings together a wide swath of attorneys from all backgrounds. And I think that's just a testament to what Justice Reyes has been able to accomplish here in the city of Chicago and in our legal community, bringing together folks who know each other but in a different setting to celebrate each other's uniqueness and our commitment to the law and to service and justice.
I believe what drives Justice Reyes is his commitment to diversity and inclusion He, through the Diversity Scholarship Foundation, he has made an emphasis to ensure that we increase the number of Latinos in our profession and also judges in the legal profession. I believe Justice Reyes embodies excellence in every sense of the word. As the first Latino judge to serve in the First District Court, he's not only had to break many barriers, but he has also opened the doors for many of us to follow. And I think what makes him excellent is not only what he has achieved, but also how he has done it. So he's someone that really leads with integrity. He's very intentional about uplifting others, and he also mentors with his heart.
The signature endeavor for Justice Reyes, I think, is the Diversity Scholarship Foundation. I think he's really made his mark in terms of heading that up, in terms of raising money for scholarships for diversity individuals, diverse individuals. And I think that's really, really important right now. I also think he cares deeply about the law being accessible to all and not just a few. I think he's very focused on first-generation lawyers and judges, being able to give them opportunities that they might not otherwise have. And I'm a first-generation lawyer, so I can appreciate that.
My father is driven by the desire to make a difference in the lives of people through the means of teaching about the law and about justice. Whether that is making just rulings, helping those with financial needs assistance through the Diversity Scholarship Foundation, going to elementary schools and middle schools to teach about the law, giving tours of the courthouse to law students from Mexico to all the way here in Chicago. Every single day is driven by the desire to say, how can I best serve those around me? And it is something that I am continually impressed by.
Justice Reyes is an incredible human being, an incredible jurist, and one of the kindest and most available people that you could ever wish for in the legal community. He is that way no matter who you are, no matter where you come from. And I think that that's something that should be lauded, that should be promoted among us in the legal community. Certainly here in Illinois, he's known by everyone, I would say. There is not an event where Justice Reyes hasn't been. He attends events all over the city, all over the state, and he does all of this in order to really be a part of the legal community that he worked so hard to become a part of himself. And he's been an amazing mentor and example for all of us here in Chicago and in Illinois.
Ladies and gentlemen, please give a warm welcome and congratulations to the Honorable Jesse G. Reyes.
Buenas noches, ¿cómo están todos? ¿Bien? ¿Están despiertos? All right. Before I commence my remarks, I'd like to take a point of personal privilege and ask everyone, please, to stand for a moment. Everybody could stand, please. Thank you. And I'd like you to applaud our service staff, our waiters and our... Thank you. When I was in high school, at night, I worked in a kitchen like the one here and in a hotel like this one. So I know from personal experience how hard these men and women work, and I just wanted us to acknowledge them for their service. I want to thank everybody that participated in the videos. Thank you very much for all those kind words that you said on my behalf. You'll be receiving your checks shortly. Before I go any further, I want to also congratulate our new regional counsel. Let's give her another big hand. And I want to acknowledge our president and general counsel, Tom Sayas. Our co-honorees this evening, let's give them a big hand as well. And I want to recognize any distinguished guests that we have. And ladies and gentlemen, it's a pleasure to be here with you this evening. I am deeply honored and humbled to receive the Lifetime Achievement Excellence in Legal Service Award from MALDEF and its board of directors. A little known fact is that as a young lawyer, literally right out of law school, I was invited to participate in MALDEF's leadership development program. So they are responsible for who I am today. So this is where I learned the lessons in leadership, community involvement, and advocacy, skills and abilities which have served me well throughout my entire legal career. A debt I owe this organization, which I will never be able to repay, but I'm trying, and we'll talk about that a little bit further with regards to my repayment to MALDEF. These are not ordinary times. The rule of law is under attack. And these efforts make America weaker, not stronger. Make no mistake, this affects all of us, not only the underprivileged, not only the underrepresented and the underserved, but all of us. And that is why we need organizations like MALDEF, more so than ever before, to protect and promote civil rights, not only for Latinos, but for everyone in the United States. MALDEF, thank you very much. I'm also proud to have my name associated with past recipients like Dr. Luis Fraga, who's here with us this evening. And to have my name associated with this long-standing civil rights organization that speaks for those who cannot speak for themselves. This recognition, however, is not just a personal achievement, but a tribute to the strength, resilience, and vibrant spirit of the Latino community in Chicago, a community that has shaped who I am and continues to inspire everything that I do. Growing up, I learned the value of hard work, family, and cultural pride from those who came before me, such as Arturo Velázquez, Hilda Frantani, and Judge David Serta. Their sacrifices and dreams paved the way for the opportunities that I now have, and I carry their legacy with me every step I take forward. I also take pride in the work as president of the Diversity Scholarship Foundation that has provided and given away hundreds and thousands of dollars in law school scholarships to those in need, many who are from the Latino community. One contribution that I am very proud of is the fact that we sponsor a young law student every year to serve as an intern in MALDEF's Chicago Regional Office. This young individual will obtain invaluable and have obtained invaluable experience that could not be obtained anywhere else. I know many people here, particularly members of my HLAI family, say, man is everywhere. He's nonstop. Well, to tell you the truth, the reason why I'm everywhere is because growing up on the south side of Chicago, who I was going to become was a dream that I never knew when and where it was going to happen. But I made a promise that if I ever made it, I would never forget where I came from and that I would give back to others. That is why, as a judge, I serve the public on and off the bench. That is why I take time to go to elementary schools, high schools, colleges, and law schools to talk to the students. If I can hopefully influence, impact, or inspire just one student, then it was time well spent. This is why you will see me at events throughout the city, the county, the state, and the country, trying to make a difference and trying to give back. At the same time, spreading the philosophy that together we can make a difference. As Dolores Huerta says, sí se puede. This award, however, belongs not only to me, but to my family, my wife of over 50 years. A patient woman who's married to a man that can never say no. And my daughter, my lovely daughter, my inspiration, the light of my life. She had a mind of her own. People would say to her, "Are you going to be a lawyer like your dad?" And I knew secretly that she always aspired to want to become a teacher. Not getting paid much, but she is saving lives and she is doing God's work. This award also belongs to my dedicated court staff, mentors, friends, colleagues, my Diversity Scholarship Foundation family, and everybody at Table 5. And to every young person who dares to dream beyond limitations. It is a reminder that our voices matter, our stories matter, and our contributions help to build a stronger and more inclusive future. To the organizers of this award, thank you for uplifting our heritage and celebrating the achievements of Latinos throughout Chicago and beyond. Let this be a call to continue pushing forward, to support one another, and to never forget where we came from. In closing, I would like to leave you with the words of Cesar Chavez regarding the importance of remembering where we came from and giving back. Quote, "We cannot seek achievement for ourselves and forget about progress and prosperity for our community. Our ambitions must be broad enough to include the aspirations and the needs of others, for their sake and for their own." I'd like to thank you all for this recognition. I also want to thank God and the Blessed Mother, because I know that I wouldn't be here if I didn't have divine help. So thank you and enjoy the rest of the evening.
Thank you, Judge Reyes, for fighting tirelessly to bring diversity and inclusivity to the justice system. And also just, it's so moving to hear these stories and the remarks from these honorees. Really an inspiration to all of us. So thank you. MALDEF's final award tonight goes to Charlene Aguilar, senior partner at Whitkeefer, Whitkeefer and former MALDEF board member, receiving the Imperial Cantor Extraordinary Achievement Award for extraordinary achievement. Charlene Aguilar has always maintained an interest in her community. She attended Harvard University's Graduate School of Education and received her Master of Education in Administration, Planning, and Social Policy. She has utilized what she has learned over her career to become an important voice with numerous, and to share her perspective with numerous universities, nonprofits, and healthcare institutions in order to guide them towards a path to excellence. Charlene can trace her roots from Guadalajara and Colima, Mexico, to Dublin, Ireland. It is this cultural diversity in her background that informs her insights and strategy. Charlene has been in administrative positions at several educational institutions, including Santa Clara University, University of Chicago Law School, Stanford University, and UC Santa Barbara. Here she prioritized improving access to students who were first generation and from traditionally marginalized or under-resourced communities. She also launched successful community partnerships, directed both undergraduate and graduate student faculty collaborations, and generated fundraising initiatives with national foundations, corporate investors, and donors. Charlene also spent 10 years shaping her expertise with MALDEF as a board member, as well as 2 years as board chair. MALDEF is grateful for the time she spent helping to advance MALDEF's mission. In 2015, Charlene joined with Kiefer, the premier firm for creating strong leadership teams for organizations. Here, Charlene has been able to provide her counsel by sticking to her values of integrity, honesty, and transparency. Her point of view as a Chicana helps her to identify and empower leaders who will listen to community voices and bring their organizations forward. Her passion for equity and inclusion is what makes her achievements so extraordinary. Her impact in the institutions of education, healthcare, and in nonprofits are so very valuable. So let's take a look at the video MALDEF created as a tribute to Charlene Aguilar.
Charlene is driven by such a strong family connection. It's difficult to know her without knowing her family, because she talks about her grandmother. She talks about the immigrant experience. She talks about the power of the women in her family. So I think that really encourages her to not only talk about herself, but again, relate to all different kinds of individuals. I think another factor that drives her are the values that her parents and grandparents have really instilled in her. I think about our conversations about familia. I think about our conversations about the power of education. I think about the conversations we have had and she has with others about our commitment to community. So family, education, community, all values that I know are really important to Charlene, but also know that they've been instilled in her since a very, very young age.
I first met Charlene when I came back to MALDEF as president and general counsel. She was on the board of directors and immediately struck me as one of the members who had great potential for leadership of the board, ultimately, but also a clear commitment to doing whatever was best for MALDEF and for its mission. She really has, from a very early age, understood and perceived injustice and understood the effects of injustice on the Latino community in particular, but on more broadly all communities, and understood the imperative to fix those injustices in order to achieve a better world. Well, I think she has demonstrated a capacity for advising and mentoring young people at all stages of her career. Really, that means that there are a whole army of folks who have been positively influenced, positively advised by Charlene, and that consistent, very interpersonal commitment to social justice and change is just extraordinary. And I think a central part of who Charlene is and why so many people admire her.
What drives Charlene the most, I think, is a desire to make our world better, a desire to improve opportunities and lives. I think that's why she started in her professional career in university admissions, because university admissions is about giving opportunity to people. But she always understood that it was important to give opportunities to people who had earned them, people who deserved them, and to people who had earned them and deserved them and were not accustomed to having them. And she understood the difference between the two. She's worked at some highly selective universities. She's been privileged to work at these universities, but she's always remembered, in addition to contributing to their excellence, of contributing to their capacity to serve people from many different families, many different ethnic racial backgrounds, many different class backgrounds, so that everybody has the opportunity to gain a university education. In her role now, picking university leaders, I see the same spirit. I see the same goal. And it's wonderful to see how her career has evolved. And now she's at the level of helping select university presidents and university provosts and deans and directors of institutes at universities across the country. And in a sense, it's kind of a coming full circle to the work that she started out in focusing on university admissions.
I think Charlene's greatest accomplishments is to not center her successes on herself, but to think about her successes as opportunities to open doors for others. And I think that is her greatest accomplishment and most important contribution in our community.
Charlene's most extraordinary accomplishment is the connection she makes between Latino talent and opportunity. And I've seen it from the beginning. When I first met her in the 1980s, as she was working with students at the National Hispanic Institute, where she was driven by this sense of providing opportunity for others. And she uses her network in very powerful ways.
One of her legacies will be all of the students who she still communicates with, many of them, who she helped get into a university and helped be successful while they were at a university. Her legacy will also be the leaders that she's helped put in positions at universities who will be there for, depending on their careers, 5 years, 10 years, or maybe longer. But the legacy that I think she will most leave is a legacy of service and a legacy of building opportunity for all communities.
Beautiful legacy. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a warm welcome and congratulations to Charlene Aguilar, Valerie Cantor Award for Extraordinary Achievement.
Thank you. Mil gracias. I'm very humbled and very honored. I see giants here in the room, sitting at my table, at many other tables, and a shared humanity that resonates across and beyond Chicago this moment. I have a special shout out to my beloved Luis, to Tomas, Jim, Ashley, Rudy, Juan, and Jason. Thank you, table 3, I think. And of course to MALDEF, the center of why we're here. Throughout my life, I've been inspired by a deep connection to familia, as you heard, motivated by heroes daily who affect social justice and positive change with purpose and vision, perseverance and dedication for our shared and connected communities. This Chicana grew up in Northern California, raised in the heart of San Francisco with a large extended family and stories that inspired me. Mis abuelos, Carmen and Antonio, you know, they immigrated from Mexico, Colima and Guadalajara, respectively, met in San Francisco. But their struggles and spirit modeled courage, resilience, and a fervent dedication to and a love of family. My parents, Raul, Tocayo, over there, and Marguerite were active in the civil rights movement as they engaged our larger comunidad. Their commitment to faith and Catholic social justice was a driver, the vital imperative in facing shared community challenges. They believed in taking responsibility to effect change. I have vivid memories of their packing up the car, my siblings and me in tow, Saturdays before sunrise, to travel 4.5 hours to Delano to join our family priest, Father Jean Boyle. Si se puede, our collective mantra. Together, we would march with Cesar Chavez and Dolores Huerta in the movement for farm workers' rights. My parents also served as leaders of a community board and convened friends and politicians in our San Francisco home to address policing in our mixed Latinx, African American, and Asian immigrant neighborhood. Our living room was filled with animated discussion, many languages, and lots of boisterous energy. While college was the path my parents believed was their son's rather than their daughter's destiny, ultimately they were very supportive. I recall the butterflies in my stomach while riding the Muni bus as I anxiously anticipated a meeting with the unknown person at LULAC's Education Center. Georgia Quinones, a name I'll never forget. She helped translate overwhelming paperwork and helped to melt away any procedural barriers so that I was able to enroll in college. She embodied tremendous kindness and grace. At UC Santa Barbara, yes, a Hispanic serving institution, y'all, the support of the Educational Opportunity Program staff, Yolanda and Hiram, alongside my receiving a state scholarship grant, accepting federal loans at lower interest rates that I'd later have to repay, and working the graveyard campus security shift to cover additional education bills meant that I would become a college graduate. I gravitated naturally to a career in higher education and the aligned spaces to keep mi gente and broader communities close in heart and mind, while striving to create sustained policies and practices that provide access and promote opportunity. Today, as a senior partner at Witt Kiefer, a global executive search and leadership advisory firm, I work daily with colleagues I trust to be mission-driven professionals motivated by a deep sense of personal accountability, care, and purpose. Improving quality of life matters as we lend team voices, and diverse perspectives and expertise to shape current and inclusive leadership for future generations across colleges, universities, global health, and nonprofit organizations. So this brings me to MALDEF. Since its founding, a formidable national leader and voice for civil rights and our abundant and diverse Latino communities, that MALDEF has been consistent and tireless in its advocacy for equality, inclusion, diversity, means that my service on the board and its member and chair is one of the most fulfilling in my personal and professional life. I serve side by side then with a willing and generous board of very accomplished professionals. Many you've heard their names shouted out up here by other honorees. Women and men whose contributions and voice I learned from, I respect, I admire. I experienced firsthand the palpable dedication of staff and attorneys and bore witness to the compelling leadership, courageous vision, and integrity of the incomparable Thomas Sines, whose dynamic legacy will always be that as an exceptional president and general counsel, an incredible human being, and hopefully a friend is okay for me to say here. So thank you, and please know I will cherish this recognition for the rest of my life.
Thank you, Charlene, for your commitment to access, opportunity, and equity over the years. So now, please help me welcome to the stage MALDEF's President and General Counsel, my hero, our #1 legal eagle, Thomas A. Sines.
What an extraordinary evening. Thank you all for being here and continuing your partnership with MALDEF in its pursuit of civil rights for all in America, with an emphasis on all Latinos living in the United States. As every year, I begin with thanks, and I want to first thank our truly, truly extraordinary MC. They finally figured out my incompetence in that role and found the antidote to that, who has served as our MC in a number of occasions across the country. So I want to say thank you to my brother, Raul Reyes, for his steady hosting of this evening. I do want to thank our board of directors, past and present. They are critical, the critical backbone to the work led by our staff, but the board of directors is so essential to our thriving as an institution in the most trying of times. So let me ask our members of the board of directors, past and present, who are here tonight, to please stand and accept our gratitude for your work. So the incomparable regional council mentioned the staff in Chicago and had them stand, but we actually have staff beyond the Chicago office present this evening, and we have some former staff members who are always so gracious as to return in support of their alma mater, if you will, at MALDEF. Let me ask all current and former staff members also to please stand and accept our gratitude for your ongoing efforts. And of course, an evening like this is never an accident. It is the careful stewardship of a team that makes this evening, as evenings like it across the country, year after year, so extraordinary of an event. So let me acknowledge Gina Montoya, Jessica Barahona, Destiny Cortez, Brian Gomez, Jose Delgado, Israel Trujillo Soto, and all of the others who made such a contribution to making this evening so special. And of course, as I mentioned earlier, all of you are allies. All of you are partners in the important work that we face today, tomorrow, and in the future. So I do want to thank you. I referred to you earlier as diehards. I still believe that. You are the dedicated core of the veritable legions of folks who support and make MALDEF's work so possible. So thank you all. I have now been president and general counsel of MALDEF for almost 16 years. And throughout that time, I have always considered us to be incredibly, incredibly fortunate in that every single one of our honorees has been such an extraordinary inspiration in the remarks that they deliver at these events around the country. And certainly tonight's honorees have extended and expanded that long history of inspiration delivered over a steak dinner to all of you. So let me again thank and recognize our incredible and articulate honorees, the eloquent and committed Pedro Windsor, the wise and inspiring Honorable Jesse Reyes, and of course, my good friend, the devoted and insightful Charlene Aguilar. I do want to note for each of them the importance of the work that they do. I want to acknowledge that in a time when too many of our legal colleagues have proven themselves too feckless to stand up against clearly unconstitutional executive orders, we have the ABA as a strong counterweight, a strong voice to preserve the rule of law, a role we expected of the ABA, but in today's context had no reason to believe would necessarily be there. But through the efforts of Pedro and Alpha Brady, who I'm so pleased that she's here tonight, and the current ABA president, Bill Bay, the ABA has been a positive counterweight to what we face in the disrespect of law from the administration. And Jesse Reyes, in recognizing so early the critical importance of mentoring, creating internship opportunities for members of the Latino community who make that difficult climb through law school and the early stages of the legal profession. It is still so essential, but to have recognized it so early is positively extraordinary. And finally, Charlene's work, a culmination, as you heard from Professor Fraga, in doing searches for leadership at higher education institutions, the importance of it is as high as it has ever been, not just for the Latino community, because universities are among the institutions that are being targeted in the incredible vein of anti-intellectualism that governs the White House. And we have seen too many university leaders capitulate in ways big and small, and too few who have stood up and said, no, We will not accept a deviation of 1 inch from our mission, including academic freedom, equity, and inclusion. And the work that Charlene is doing today is about ensuring that there are capable and strong folks in positions at high level of influence in these all-important higher education institutions. It's been said by everyone, we are living in the midst of extraordinary times. Even small talk has changed permanently. I now cannot answer the question, how are you doing, with a simple okay. I have to modify it with okay under the circumstances. And that's not true just for me as president of MALDEF. It's true for all of us, because we see in our families, among our colleagues, in our communities, the results of a scare campaign undertaken deliberately by design to intimidate so many in our community. These are extraordinary times that influence every element of every person's life in this country. I want to note that just this month, and it's only the 12th, the following has happened. Last week, on Wednesday, in one afternoon, conspirators from the Department of Justice in Washington, the State Attorney General in Texas, and, frankly, a life-tenured judge conspired to eliminate the very first state law providing reduced tuition, in-state tuition, to undocumented college students, conspired to eliminate what had been law for nearly a quarter century and was gone in the course of an afternoon. Now let me emphasize how much of a departure from our rule of law that is. And rule of law is a phrase that we use even though so many in the general public don't know what it means. But rule of law means that the same law applies to everyone in this country, regardless of wealth, regardless of income, regardless of influence, and regardless of formal position of power. But the departure from the rule of law that resulted in one afternoon in eliminating opportunity for tens of thousands of young people across the state of Texas departed from the ordinary recognition that our court system is not just for the convenience of formal parties in litigation. Our court system is a public entity that, absent extraordinary circumstances, is mandated to conduct its work in the public eye and with the opportunity for public input. But by submitting the complaint and a consent judgment and securing the judge's signature in one afternoon, all of that was thrown aside. No opportunity for those most affected by this attempted invalidation of long-standing law to either appear as friends of the court or as interveners to defend what Attorney General Paxton refused to defend, which is a law duly passed in the democratic process in the state of Texas. Now, I'm proud to inform those who may not be aware that this week, MALDEF filed intervention papers on behalf of recipients of in-state tuition in the state of Texas in the middle of their degree programs to ensure that they will be heard about the legality of that all-important first-in-the-nation provision of reduced tuition to immigrant students. Also this month, we have seen in my home city of Los Angeles, where MALDEF has been headquartered for close to 40 years, We have seen a militarized siege because some folks had the temerity to object to enforcement practices that are unjust, that violate constitutional rights of due process, that engage in the most despicable of conduct, armed, unmarked, civilian clothes, grabbing people in the streets. This is not a democracy. And because folks had the strong enough belief to manifest their First Amendment rights in opposing that, for the first time in 60 years, a president of the United States sent the National Guard without a request from the governor of the state of California. Followed that up, as you know, with the deployment of active Marines on domestic soil in Los Angeles, California. It's important to note that the last time the National Guard was deployed without gubernatorial request was to protect the First Amendment rights of Black civil rights activists who faced nullification governors who refused to ensure that the rights of those protesters were protected and that they were physically protected from violent harm. What happened this very week in Los Angeles is the polar opposite. A president who deployed the National Guard against gubernatorial wishes in order to suppress First Amendment rights of those who have the temerity to disagree with his dramatic departure from past practice in the area of immigration enforcement. And just in the last 2 days, MALDEF, together with over 200 other organizations, received a scurrilous letter from the leaders of the House of Representatives Committee on Homeland Security, demanding that we and those 200 plus other organizations respond within 2 weeks to a survey that was couched in a letter including innuendo, including explicit accusations that organizations like ours had somehow violated the law by engaging in advocacy on behalf of the undocumented immigrant community. And of course, today, those of you on social media or following the media have seen how a United States senator, one of the few Latino United States senators in the country, was manhandled by law enforcement attempting to attend a public press conference by the Secretary of Homeland Security. That's just in the first 12 days of June, folks. But what that tells us is a number of things. First of all, of course, the extreme lengths to which those in power would seek to suppress the constitutional rights belonging to every person in this country, meaning every human being, regardless of race, gender, orientation, immigration status. The constitutional rights of every person, the extreme lengths to which those in power and opposed to those rights will go. Extreme departures from prior procedure, protocol, and practice will go to suppress and intimidate the rights of those who have the least formal power, but the greatest people power in this country. What it also tells us, when you think of each of those examples, is that the Latino community is at the center of their animosity. I've said it before, and it resonates. We are the target
they fear. When they talk about the racist great replacement theory, they are talking about us. When they complain about imaginary voter fraud depriving people in their sphere of votes, including Trump himself, they are talking about us. They are slandering us. If anyone had any doubt about who they fear, mere review of what's happened in the last 12 days, including what I've talked about, would remove those doubts. So in a way, what they're engaging in smacks of desperation. They don't know how to defeat us. And so they are departing from every norm imaginable. They're engaging in as much intimidation as possible. And they are disrespecting the rule of law with consequences for every person in this country, regardless of political ideology, all out of a fear of the growing Latino community and its strong allies. We know from our history that we are more than up to this, that their targeting of the Latino community cannot and will not prevail. Our community is a community that has demonstrated its strength, its commitment, its resilience, and its inventiveness over the entire course of our history. We have faced these demons and defeated them before. We know that the way of defeating these demons lies not in violence, lies not in illegal activity. It lies in ensuring that our nation's constitutionally stated commitment to rights for all, to freedom, to inclusion, and to fairness are vindicated across the country. And we know that the main vehicle for that resistance is in the form of our elections. There is no longer any reason for a person eligible to register to vote to fail to do so. No matter what cost-benefit analysis you may engage in times like this, the benefits of registration and participation in the vote outweigh any concerns. And we at MALDEF, together with you in the room and in rooms like this across the country, recognize that our strength lies in our commitment, no matter how it is articulated, to the constitutional principles, yes, honored as much in the breach historically as in their enforcement. But our deep-seated commitment to those principles that even the most recent immigrant has in their heads as they make the difficult journey to our country. We know that our community's commitment to those principles means that we can eliminate the turnout gap. We can ensure that every member of Congress understands and attends to the interests of the growing Latino community. On behalf of MALDEF, I commit to you that whatever we face, the need to increase security guards at our headquarters, the need to respond in some way to unreasonable demands from the House of Representatives Committee on Homeland Security, the need to appear in court against those who smugly but without reason believe that they are immune from our vindication of constitutional rights. We are there for the long haul throughout these 4 years and beyond. And we know that we enter every courthouse, every legislature, every meeting with the support of an incredibly courageous and resilient Latino community and allies who will, in the end, save the rule of law and democracy in the United States. Thank you all. We look forward to working with you in the future.
Thank you, Thomas. Those are such powerful words that we all need to hear right now. So I'd like to thank all of you for supporting MALDEF Chicago Awards Gala. Please, let's give another round of applause for each of the nominees, the honorees, sponsors, Thomas, and our MALDEF crew. Thank you very much, and see you next year. Gracias.